Well, it's been a while. Hello, sir. Welcome to the Divorce Playbook podcast. How you feeling,
Thank
man?
you. Average, but it's good to be back. Sorry, it's been a while. It's been a rough recovery.
Speaking of back, let's get right to our theme song. And I promised you the song I was going to play when you came
This is
back.
welcome back, Cotter.
Sorta.
Welcome back. Yeah, man, how you doing? You good?
From the 2004 Mace album, Welcome Back.
I know you like
Title track.
How long you been back?
Welcome back.
I see the girls in the club.
So much better that this is more current.
And all the pretty chicks all
Thank
wanna smile at me.
I'd be dancing if I didn't have stitches in the middle of my back.
And if I ever see them, man, they probably back to me. And when this beat drop, I know.
By the way, I could listen to that whole thing, but we're going to turn that down now.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mace.
that was it was almost predictable, and that took us in a different direction. So I appreciate your effort that you put into that, Dan.
Never not trying. Never not trying. But it has been. Well, last time, I mean, we talked on the phone, but like the last time I actually saw your face, I was up at your house on, like, I guess last Sunday. So it's been even a little over a week since I have seen you. And obviously the hole in your back is hopefully getting smaller, but let's start there and just sort of walk people through, honestly, Scott, we didn't really talk about this while we were recording, but I was a little concerned and nervous, not for the surgery, but for your sort of mental outlook going into it. You felt very alone. And I said to you on the air, I remember, like, do you need me to come up? And then you asked me to come up, and I helped you, over that weekend. And then obviously mom came up to help you and stuff. But I want to sort of go there, like talk about what happened, please. But I also just kind of want to ask you from like a mental health or from a connectivity standpoint, like, how did this impact you? How are you feeling off of that too?
Yeah, I think that's probably more important than what happened. I mean, what ultimately happened was I broke a bone in my back. It was laying on the root of my nerve. When they went in to see it, it was really obvious. They were shocked that I was even walking due to the pain that it was causing. And they fixed it, which is great. So the problem's fixed, was bothering me. The pain since the surgery has been largely just they cut into my back. And that for anybody out there that's had back surgery, you understand where I'm coming from. For those of you that have not, please, for the love of God, do whatever you can to not have back surgery. So that's what happened. I will say that, and everyone that knows me, and again, most of the people that are listening to the show view me as, I think I'm a consummate optimist.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I have a good.
Point.
Well, I think your vantage point matters more than most, since you've known me for my entire life, for your entire life. This episode, this incident, whatever you want to call it, it brought me down to my knees. It really did, and it like almost broke me mentally. Like I really struggled. And I think that, and I was very grateful that you came up. I was very grateful that mom came up, both super helpful. The reality was that first weekend when I just got out of the hospital, for those of the people that are listening don't know this, that, you actually picked me up from the hospital when I was released. Right. So obviously I needed the help. But you also helped dole out my medications. You saw I was on a lot of medications to help me, to numb me. What ended up happening was, once you left, once mom left, I wasn't better. I was actually worse, because the pain associated with healing was worse. And you and I talked about this briefly before we started the show, but I would say it that I got worked to the bone last week, which was not cool. My back, it's really hard to sit up like I'm doing right now. It's very uncomfortable. The best position I've learned for me to heal properly is to be laying down. Okay. On my side. Like it just takes the pressure off my back. But my kids are gone. So I literally went through a week after you left, after mom left, my kids left to go to Florida for the week. And I don't think I've ever felt more alone in my life. And it was,
no, I feel like shit for not coming back up.
No, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm trying to explain to people out there that I think what really hit me through this, and by the way, it was fine. Like, I needed some alone time. I needed to just sort of like be alone and start the healing process. I was really upset when I went to the doctor and got a bad report. And the bad report came in the fact that my back wasn't healing as quickly as I had hoped or as he had hoped. And he was wondering why. And I said, well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that I've been working all week. And he was shocked. He was like, wait a sec, what? What do you mean you're working all week? And I said, yeah, I cut back on the meds so I could focus and work. He's like, Scott, you're on those meds to make you heal. You can't just arbitrarily cut back on them. He was like, and I said, well, it was making it so that I wasn't able to like focus and work. He's like, yeah, so you could heal. So he kind of like gave me some shit, but the moral of my tale was that I was in a pretty dark place, one that I rarely get to, and I think what I learned through that was, and just like I learned this through my divorce, and so I think major events that happen in your life are very telling, not only for how you get through it, but for who your friends really are. And I think what I saw during this past week and a half, I saw some people who really stepped up and were there for me and were understanding. A- and I really appreciate all of you who did that. I then saw some people who were just clearly are not my friends and were extremely selfish, similar to the way I felt when I went through the divorce, that
Sure.
they were
That part I
super
understand.
selfish, right? They were super selfish. They wanted to know, they almost use it as a front to be like, oh, I want to touch base with you. I haven't talked to you in a while. Like, how you doing? You're doing okay? Good. So there's 4 things that I want to talk to you about that like we need to talk
Right.
about. And it's
Well,
like,
Scott, just to cut you up for 1 second about that specifically, like, because I went through that more recently than you. I've made no bones about the fact, and if any of you are listening, WTF, like not one person in my entire neighborhood where I lived for 8 years, not even my next door neighbors who I lived next to for almost a decade, sent me a text when I got divorced. And I told people that and how upset I was at that. And their response, people's response was, well, it's awkward for them. They don't know what to do. It's awkward.
fuck
Oh, sorry.
them.
It's all sorry. My life being flipped upside down was awkward for you. So I totally understand where you're going with
Right.
that. And you know, I know
And,
this is a different
and
circumstance because you're not splitting friends like you do in a
but
divorce, but
but it's not that different, right? And so I agree with, yes, it's different in the sense that you're kind of like splitting friends, which does not have to happen, right? Like it doesn't have to happen, but I
doesn't
get,
have
like
to.
you said, like people feel awkward. All I'm saying, and the way I felt this past week, and the way that I felt, honestly, it was reminiscent of my divorce in the sense that I felt very alone and I felt used, and I felt stupid, actually. I was like, here I am every day giving back to the community, giving back to people through our podcast, giving back to people through work and all this stuff. And all I fucking needed, seriously, Dan, and you were good about this, mom was good about this, a close group of friends were good about this. Even if I didn't respond to you, I can't tell you how much it meant to me to get a text that was genuine, that just said, hey, I heard what happened. I just wanted to say, I hope you're doing okay, or I'm
Yeah.
here for you, or whatever it might be. It's a text. It takes 30 seconds to send a text. I don't even care if you
Yeah.
mean it or not. Just like, so my feeling and my experience and my guidance to people is that I understand if you don't want to get into a full-blown conversation. I understand if you don't actually want to help, or you don't want to drop off like a you know, a plate of cookies, or well, you saw we had tons of cookies and muffins,
My Lord,
um,
the baked
but
goods.
regardless, right? But regardless, like it when you're down, I know you can understand this because you've had periods where you've been in a bad place, and I think lots of people are listening, all of you at one point or another have been in a bad place, especially if you've been through a divorce. And so I can really relate my feelings during the surgery and the recovery process to being in a similar bad place. A text, a positive text, literally got me through my day from someone that I knew that genuinely cared. A positive text. You don't have to do anything for me. You don't have to come here and change my bandages. You don't have to come here and like wash my ass for me. I just needed a text that said that
Wait,
I
wait, just
felt
a heads up. I didn't do any of that when I was up there. So I just want people to know, like, you didn't need that day to
n-
day. Like I wasn't,
no.
there's no
Over
ass
time,
washing of mine. It was just,
over time when I couldn't shower, it got not good. But you did buy me the baby wipes that I've been using to wash myself, so I appreciate the fact that you went out to CVS.
I think it's interesting, Scott, and obviously I think like you said, going through that and kind of feeling like, and I understand, I do feel bad, but I understand the idea, like you need to do it on your own, but I don't know if you needed to do it as much on your own. If you were in as much pain, either I could have come back up or mom could have stayed, or we could have figured something out. But to your point, if you don't mind, can we go in that direction a little bit, Scott? Like to your point of feeling alone and feeling like, who your friends are. I always say that, right? Your whole like beat the drum mantra is you never know what anyone else has got going on. And clearly in this circumstance, maybe some of the people who were asking you didn't really know the extent of what you had going on or didn't care. And you need to make that decision. That's for you to.
It was one or the other. Yes. It was one or the other. Sure. I would agree with that.
And so to spin this back to a little bit about what we've been talking about on the show, I felt very similarly in terms of the nobody gives a shit part of that.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's certainly different. People need to, if you're in a health situation or, obviously have like a major surgery like you had, like people should reach out, just have common human courtesy. But it's interesting to me how most people no longer have common courtesy, and supposedly that's okay. How many times have I heard, well, that person doesn't owe you anything? Well, sometimes it's not about owing someone something. That person doesn't owe me a text or a response to be like, hey, I'm not feeling it, or hey, this isn't. They owe humanity that. Like, just be a good person. Just if you take pride in yourself and being, a caring human. Now I know the world is upside down and ridiculous that I sound so out of touch by saying like, can you just send a text? The world is always been like this, but it just illustrates in situations like this, Scott, how I got ghosted again. Did I even tell you? I don't even know if I told you the story.
Yeah. I have really not been and
it's like,
unfortunately, I have not been keeping up with your dating antics over the past week and a half.
God.
Well, that's not true. I kept up with them when you were here. That was a lot.
Okay, so this is the list for people who are watching on YouTube. This is the list of things that I wanted to talk about today. We're gonna bang through some of them pretty quickly. But let me just say this: when I was up near you,
bang, bangity, bang, 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 bang.
When I was up near you,
is a How I Met Your Mother reference.
I'm sure it is. For people who aren't on all of these apps, specifically Bumble does a phenomenal, terrible job of when you're in a new location, they throw you to the front. Everyone who has never seen your profile sees your profile. And the reason they do that is because they want you to be excited. As Scott, you always say like about the game of it all. They want you to be excited to be like, oh my God, look at all these people who like me. I have value in the world. Bullshit. Those people don't even read your profile. Case in point, I put at the top of my profile, in North Jersey for 2 days, I live near Philly, and I got hundreds, I'm not even joking, more than 150 matches. People who live in the Bronx, people on Long Island.
I was watching.
I know. A lot of the people who are like looking for a long-term relationship, and it's like, spend 30 seconds.
But they don't.
Like this with your thumb.
They don't.
And read something and then decide, because they just wasted their time. And now I bet you some of those people are mad at me like, oh, I can't believe that guy never got back to me. Well, yeah, because I live 4 hours from you.
Yeah, Dan, this is for the entire audience. I was talking about this with a friend this weekend, that just explaining this process of how people go through dating apps and sites. And she was very frustrated. And I said exactly this. I was like, this is how it works. People look at your picture, make sure your pictures are good. They will look at your picture. And then once you connect, they may or may not actually read what your profile says. They 100% will not read your profile as they're going through and just collecting, can I get a connection? Can I get a connection? The gamification part of it. They will not read your profile. So I know you're saying that kind of like just to explain to the audience, but I mean, the deal. Like, I know we were sitting here together and I was laying on the sofa in a lot of pain, and you kept saying like, look at this one. Why is she not reading it? Her thing says LTR. Like, that's all she wants. Why would she connect with
mad? I was more incredulous of the process. I wasn't like offended personally. You're making it sound like I was.
I'm not saying you were offended. You were
frustrated by the process.
When I say you were frustrated, you were passionately focused
But here, Scott, this is a good point, though.
on the women on the dating apps that were in my area, trying to sift through them to find one that was available for the 1 or 2 days that you were here.
Or more than one. I don't despair. But let me say this.
No,
And
the 1 or 2 days you were here. I said not the 1 or 2 women.
I know I was saying potentially more than one. Anyway, whatever.
No, I was saying more than one woman. I know what you meant.
Anyway, point being,
1 or 2 things, but yeah.
So here's my and again, I don't want to stay on this too long with regard to like being out of network or being in a different location, but it is important because you look at it, and this is where I think a lot of these a lot of people's mentality, but certainly a lot of these apps are doing things incorrectly. I pay for Bumble, and so to me, the benefit is like I'm like a preferred member. So if I move to a different area for 4 days or whatever, 2 days, all of a sudden I'm thrown to the top. Well, guess what? That wasn't actually helpful to me because I had to sift through over 100, 150 profiles of which I had no interest, except for, I think, 5. Let's just say I'm ballparking. One of them is was supposed to talk to her yesterday, and that's something else I want to bring up. And I'm going to talk to her sometime this week because she works in an industry that I very desperately want to be a part of.
I remember her, and she was
one of them lives up near you, and we just started talking on there, and she is from the town I live in and went to our high school. A couple years younger than me. So to me, that's like serendipitous. That's weird. So I'm going to investigate that and like talk to, because the person, they come down here a bunch, and maybe that's something
weird. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah. The person, can I did be giving away way too much information, but let's just say I showed you a picture of someone at one point and you go, dude, are you kidding me?
Fuck her.
Well, she texted me yesterday because apparently,
can you please stop? Like
he saw me on another site, so she's thirsty for that. And then there's a couple other of your neighbors who I've texted with. Like,
she's so fucked, dude.
All right, whatever. There were a couple other people who live up near you who, we went back and forth a little bit, and I'm like, my brother lives up there, so if you want to hang out, like I have a place to stay. But the point I'm making is Bumble thinks that by giving me so many new people that they're providing me a service. One, it's an ego boost, so that's the service. But 2, now I'm looking for a specific type of person within 5 miles of you, available on 1 of 2 days. That's my search. And I shrunk my search parameters to fit that. But I still had to sift through 144 other people.
But you're complaining about it. And most people like that. That's. But
Scott, then they say they can't find someone. Then they say, because you spent, Scott, how long did I spend going through those? I mean, because I read
hours.
I read everyone.
Hours and hours.
Because I want to.
You had your little keyboard out for those people that are listening or watching that don't understand how Dan is able to do this, because I never understood this until I saw you do it in action. I was like, how could you possibly juggle like 20 women at one time? Like, and not juggle them, but talking to them, like going, like sifting through, and I got to see this in person. So Dan has a little foldable keyboard that he brings with him, and it's Bluetooth, so it connects to his phone, and he's sitting there on his keyboard just like jamming away. And I was like, my thumbs would have fallen off if I was trying to keep up with 20 people. And I was like, how do you do it? And you don't, like, you actually have a keyboard, you're firing away, you get this woman, you got that woman, you got this woman, you got that woman, and you can do it like you're working on a typewriter or a computer. And it's a pretty interesting way to do it. I will say one thing non-date related is that I did end up ordering myself a keyboard, not to be on 20 different conversations.
We're always on our phones, and our thumbs are too big.
I'm always on my phone, and now that I'm injured, I need to be on my phone more, and my fingers hurt, my arms hurt, my shoulders hurt, everything's just hurting right now. And so it has, I wish I could tell you what brand to get, but it's provided me a new window of opportunities to be able to actually like get to people quicker, get back to people quicker that I'm engaged with for business and just friends.
Yeah, the one I have, just, point of fact, is not great. It's cheap, and the reason I got it is because it does fold in half, and you slide it in your back pocket, and it's like the size of a wallet. So it's helpful when you have your phone. It's
crazy.
And you want to bring it. I go to Panera. I do more work on my phone than if I had a laptop. So that's like,
it was impressive. You literally, you're an animal, but
I'm just efficient about it, Scott. I am. I read profiles. Okay. I have a certain amount of time that I give each profile. I just look through a lot of them. but anyway, let's we don't need to go too much into that because I think I am abnormal in that regard. And people
Yeah,
can laugh at
maybe.
it. Like, I mean,
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, if there are people out there who get obsessed with trying to go through a lot of profiles on dating apps, you should 100% reach out to Dan,
yeah, that's true. That's true. You can certainly
because you
reach out.
have mastered the ability to do that, and to fine tune it, and to get and to whittle down 150 people who all are interested in you for some reason or another, and get it down to 5. So good for you.
Well, yes. Now, my concern is when I get it down to those few that have commonality with me or have availability and things like that, I keep fucking that part up. And that's a concern for me. Case in point, right before I was about to leave on Sunday from your place,
Yeah, well,
I actually got a message from somebody on Bumble, and she was like, "Hey, I'm around. I'm at a bar like 10 miles from you. Come hang out." And I was like, I should have done that. I didn't, because I got matched with somebody who's flipping gorgeous. Also voted for Trump. So take that for what it's worth. You know how I feel about that. No, but we talked about that. That is a very alluring one-time offer. And I thought, I'm already in the car. I'm already going to be driving 2 hours. Who cares if it's 2 hours and 30 minutes? Like, it's not that big a difference. To get in the car and drive an hour up and back is more, to me, more effort than I'm already in the car. It's only a half-hour difference. So I drove to King of Prussia. You don't know this story. You don't know
this story.
No, you
I do know
don't.
this story. Yeah. Okay. I
The second half of this?
I was here with Mom, and we were worried about you, and I texted you, and you were like, "I'm sitting here in the parking lot, and she's not here. What do I do?"
You don't know about after that, though, do you?
Okay, continue. Sorry,
I don't
audience,
think you do.
for spoiling the fact that Dan drove way out of his way for someone who he was never going to really like, and ended up.
Can I tell the story?
Keep going. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
So the same thing that happened to me, we had made that. She called me on the phone, so I heard her voice, and so she called me when I was at your place, and actually we hammered out like where we were going to meet and when. Okay, I get in the car, I text her that I left. She writes back, whatever. She had been out earlier in the day, like for brunch with her friends or whatever. I give her an update on time, no response. I give her another update on time, no response, and then I started to have a panic attack while I was driving. Not like dangerously panic attack, but like started to get like, because that's exactly what happened with Ocean City, Maryland, where I gave time updates and didn't hear back. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is going to happen to me again. This cannot happen to me again. Finally, as I'm like getting off the Pennsylvania Turnpike, like toward King of Prussia, I get a response of like the name of a restaurant. I'm like, all right, she's back. I'm pulling into the area, and I didn't know that she lived in like some giant apartment area. And so I had no idea where she actually lived, physical, like knock on the door. And I said to her, I was like, are we meeting there? Do you want to hang out? She sent me what I thought was like a jumbled up voice text. And it turns out it probably wasn't a jumbled up voice text. It was probably a belligerent drunk woman who couldn't actually text, because as I was parking, I got this text. I got out of the car and said, okay, where do you want to meet? And I never heard from her again. My guess is she was pretty much passed out drunk. That's what I'm guessing, because I don't know. Because then even the next day after a couple, and I was not mean. I am not one of those guys that's like, you fucking blew it. I drove very far out of my way, and my text was, what the F? I hope everything's all right. I hope nothing happened to you, because I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. She fucked me, not literally. And I'm like, I hope you're okay. So that's where I go back to the beginning of like, just be a human. Just be a human.
People, there are, I won't give percentages, but there are a lot of people that are just shitty.
Yeah. Well, and this woman is shitty. Anyway, so I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm freezing my ass off outside waiting for her. I go back into my car. I text everyone I know who lives in and around Pennsylvania to be like, how far are you from King of Prussia? Do you want to hang out? I'm already here, blah, blah, blah. And then just as like I'm trying to be nice, I very early on in COVID, I went out with the woman who lives near King of Prussia. I drove out there. I was supposed to go out again. It didn't work out. I felt like it was too much effort for me to put in for somebody who lives so far away. She didn't seem interested, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I'm around. Let me just text her, see how she's doing. Right? Can't hurt.
Yeah.
She texted me back right away. It was her birthday. She's like, come over and hang out.
She was alone
and I was
on
like,
her birthday?
Well, her kids were there, but yeah. She had like a weekend with friends or whatever, and it was Sunday night, and she's like, I'm just gonna relax before where it was, and it was like 9 o'clock on a Sunday or whatever. So she was home by herself, And she's like, come over. I was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. She's like, grab a bottle of wine. So there was a Wegmans right near me. I ran in, got a couple bottles of wine, and then drove, by the way, in the middle of nowhere. I mean, this is like, if you were ever going to murder someone, I can give you the address that you should tell them to drive to, because there's like 45 places that you could murder them very easily. But we hung out, got in a huge argument about stuff, which was hilarious. And then nothing serious happened, but like I went from getting totally ghosted to like making out with some lady on her birthday. And that was kind of cool. And like, it was fun, even though the argument was a little much. I'm trying to make the best out of situations. Ocean City, Maryland, Scott, I made the best of it. I'm very proud of my mental health, because that both of those situations, especially the second one now, how it's happening back-to-back weeks off with I don't my kids, that could have wrecked me. And instead I was like, fuck it, I'll just have an adventure.
Yeah. So let me give you credit for the mental health aspect of it. I still think, and you and I talked about this even when you were here, and I can mention it now, is that you're putting yourself into rough situations. Like for somebody who has had to work really hard on on the mental part of your life, you are rolling the dice on situations that most people who are mentally strong would not put themselves in that situation. You are absolutely 100% rolling the dice with some of these things by going from my house to King of Prussia to meet some drunk chick who you knew would never be good, but you thought it was gonna be a good time. Going down to Ocean City, like I do give you credit for making it through those. I don't give you credit for actually going into those, knowing that that there's a chance that it's going to blow up in your face, yet you're doing it anyway. And I don't know why you do that, but
well, the adventure
where you are,
the unknown. I mean, I'm
well,
looking for adventure.
I mean, I get that part, but I just, for somebody who is has some issues mentally, like it's almost like, and it's fine, Dan, like you are challenging yourself.
But I don't think you understand the issue. If you're concerned about that, and I appreciate your concern, generally, I appreciate your concern, but that genuinely, not generally. I generally appreciate your concern. In a general sense, you being concerned as my brother, I appreciate. In this specific, in this specific case, I think that your concern is actually a little bit misplaced, because these are not situations that are catastrophic to me. These are frustrating. These are anger management. This is distress tolerance for people who want to get, very technical. I'm good at that. And I know I'm good at that. So I'm putting myself in these situations and I'm validating that I've done all this work, that I've put in all of this effort to make sure that these situations don't wreck me. 2 years ago, it would have wrecked me. 2 years ago, I was also married and treated my wife like shit. So, life changes. You have a different perspective. The issue that I have is when there's someone I actually like, someone I actually want to hang out with, and they don't make time for me. That is more devastating to me emotionally. That is something that I have struggled with. And even this week, not someone I'm like dying to, but those situations, I love the adventure. If something blows up in my face, let's see how I can make the best of it. And sometimes I don't make the best of it. Sometimes it gets worse, but at least there's something there. I'm more upset that when I stopped texting someone for a couple of days because I was up with you or whatever, that person never texted me once. To your point, they never were like, hey, I haven't heard from you in 3 days. Are you okay? They just didn't give a shit. I just don't matter to them. And I think that
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think so I think this is like, you told a lot of stories. I told some stories. And I think the point of this section that we're talking about is that's what, no matter what situation you're in, you need to really pay attention to the people that you're communicating with and involved with, or wanting to get involved with, and who are, whether it's friends or dating, whatever it may be, because there are, unfortunately, life has created this, or whatever it is, there are a lot of shitty people out there, and you need to be careful with your time. And I think that's what I learned over this too, is that I, like you, and I saw you do this, I'm a good guy. I really am. I'm a good dad. I'm a good guy. I can say that with confidence because I really believe this. There might be some people out there that would disagree, and that's just their opinion based on the circumstances. But I'm generally, as you say, a good guy.
Yes.
But I am very giving with my time. And what I'm learning through these processes of divorce and like serious surgery and recovery and working for other people is that I need to be less giving of my time and a little more selfish, because otherwise what happens is people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And they will abuse the privilege of my time, and that's not right. Like, just have some fucking respect.
That part of it I agree with. I don't know, to go back to the beginning of that statement that you just made, Scott. I don't know if that is the same thing as people are, there's just a lot of bad people. There's just a lot of people who are, because case in point, I'm not the person who I'm thinking of specifically, who I've been trying to make plans with for a while, actually had plans with that Friday tentatively, and then you asked me to come up and I had to reschedule. That to me is not somebody who's rude or somebody who's disrespectful to me. That's somebody who just has their own life. And my point that upsets me is not that they're mean. I can justify that. That person's just a dick or whatever. No, it's when they're nice people, but I don't matter enough to them. I haven't ingratiated myself into their life enough over the last 3 or 4 weeks or months. Scott, you're getting work people you match with online. You're getting giant baskets of food, giant, like packages that people are sending to you and having delivered and whatnot. I'm not saying that you wouldn't have come down to help me if I had back surgery, but I don't have one goddamn person in the world to send me a basket of muffins. Nobody. And I know we're looking for different things, so to speak.
Can't compare. I mean, you can't compare.
My friends would do that. I have friends who would do that. I'm not talking about
Yeah,
that. I mean,
you
in
can't
terms
compare.
of a romantic
You can't
possibility.
You can't compare what you saw, because you have no idea what my day-to-day life is like. So
That's what I'm
that's what
saying.
people
No,
do,
that's
though.
all I'm saying.
That's what people do. And look, and to be honest, like, look, I get what you're saying, and I'm very mindful of that, and I think it's because I'm very mindful and I'm very selective of the people that I give time to. That's why I was very appreciative of those that were caring and offering to help and stuff like that. But I was so disappointed in those that didn't, because I think there are more people that could have sent baskets and could have offered help that just didn't. And I understand it's circumstantial. I understand they might have had shit going on. I understand there's COVID. I understand all this stuff. All I'm saying is, and I certainly will give, I don't probably do this that often, but I would give a shout out to my ex, because, to be honest, like, aside from like you and mom, like, she really helped me out. Like, she was really there for me, and I am grateful for that. You picked me up from the hospital. She took me to the hospital during the week, although I had a disappointing doctor's appointment. She took me to the doctor's appointment and picked me up from the doctor's appointment. That's seems like a no big deal kind of thing, but to me, that was a huge deal. And I bet for you, Dan, of course I would come down and help you, but I couldn't stay there like for a week and a half or whatever it is. Like, you couldn't stay with me for a week and a half. You have your kids, I have my kids, etc. But I know that you have people who will step up when things are down, when you make it known that things are down.
Yeah.
Right. And all I'm saying is that
I didn't mean the people in my life, like friends and family.
No. And I didn't mean to talk about.
I'm talking about, like, there's no person in my life.
I'm talking about you only because you and I are talking, but I'm saying this to the audience as a whole. Like, all I'm saying is that think hard about the people in your life that actually care about you. And if you're looking for a new partner, if you're out there dating, like, think hard about the people that you're giving your time to. Like, you're better than what you're presenting, is what I'm kind of saying. Is that if you're gonna bother going out on dates, like, if you don't care and you just want to go out and have a good time and get a drink and whatever, cool, do that. But if you actually do care and you actually are looking for someone to possibly date long term, like, give it some additional thought and ask the questions. By the way, if people get spooked because you want to take some time, you want to have a FaceTime, you want to have a phone call before you go out, and they're like, no, let's just go out, like, that's a waste of time, blah, blah, then you know what? Not the right person for you.
Yeah, well, obviously. Yeah.
Well, no, it's not obvious.
Well, to me, I have 3 like quick little nuggets that you don't know about that I want to just jump into real quick, like 2 seconds each.
Rapid fire.
One, I went onto one of the apps, the niche apps, and matched with a woman who lives in Boston, and we texted back and forth. She asked me to go to meet her in Miami next weekend.
My God, Dan.
I said no. And then we tried to figure out, so, and I had not, no. Then we did a video call to like, see if we were even like compatible enough. And I'm like, this is, you live far away. But anyway, you went to Miami sight unseen or whatever. So I figured, something I could do, but I'm not doing that because, and I said to her, I told her the Ocean City story and I'm like, I'm not flying to Miami and then you don't show up. Like, I'm just not doing that. But fun fact, I know you love the fun facts.
I do love fun facts.
Directly equidistant from the city center of Boston, Massachusetts and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is none other than the probably boringest town in all of America, Bridgeport, Connecticut, exactly 154 miles from Philadelphia and Boston. So if you know someone in Boston and you want to match and you want to meet them halfway, it's Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's a fact. There's nothing else to that. It's just a fact.
I think Bridgeport, Connecticut is probably lovely.
Well, fine. Yeah. But I don't want to match. I don't want to match with somebody in Boston and then meet in Bridgeport.
Please just try and match with more people in Philly.
I'm not doing that. I match with see, here's the thing. So I and we talked about this on the last episode with Nicole and you and I have talked about it previous. Like there are certain sites, niche sites that you go on for different things. And I was trying to, not literally, although in this site, I think it is kind of literal. I was trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And you can't get people who are like into something on Bumble. I thought Tinder was like more like loose, it's not. Everyone wants a long-term relationship. So there's other sites that do that kind of stuff. I did not realize how open people are on the internet and certain things. I'm certainly not going to name them the site or the app that I'm talking about because then people can find me and I do not need that. However, Scott, I did have someone say to me, "You made my night the worst," because the person doesn't have a photo and we were texting back and forth. And then she sent me a photo. It was like 2 a.m. I had taken my medication and I fell asleep while I was, I literally fell asleep with my phone in my hand. Woke up the next day and she's like, "I can't believe I sent you my picture and then you never wrote me back." She's like, "You just ruined my night." And I'm like, "I fell asleep. It was 2 a.m. I was medicated." And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Like that's the perfect example of you never know what anybody else is going on. Like
you really don't.
You sent me a picture. And also what I learned on this site is you can't match with anybody because they're all just like trying to get you to watch their webcam or trying to get you to like, pay them to massage you. But I did learn that there is such a thing called a stunt dick. And I have been asked if I wanted to be one. So I might be a stunt dick.
I have no idea what that means.
Okay, neither did I. I had to look it up. A stunt dick, Scott, is like a stunt man, like the actor, the big actor, except Tom Cruise. Like everybody has somebody who kind of looks like them, who jumps in and films the scenes where there's like a lot of action. Well, it's a direct one-to-one parallel. A stunt dick is a person who jumps in for the action scenes in adult films. So the star of the movie does some of it, the wide shots, and then the close-up shots, they bring in a stunt dick. I've never heard this in my life. It's amazing to me. So in all of my adventures, I got to learn what a stunt dick is. It's not a big lot. 2 weeks. It's not that bad. Do you have anything else to say?
You see that I have zero emotion about this.
I just want to know how much it pays.
I don't want to know at all.
I mean, if I'm not showing my face, what do I care?
Dude,
I'm being serious. I mean, we have different ethics and morals, but like, who does it matter?
Come on,
dude. It's just parts. You look at my face, you see my nose. It's just, it's a
bro.
No, it's like a social construct, like what we cover and what we don't. Different religions cover different things. It happened. Somebody a long time ago was like, "I'm going to cover this stuff and this stuff." And now, because it's that old Seinfeld episode. Now, because that stuff is covered, if everyone, this is the joke, if everyone wore turtlenecks, a woman's neck would be the sexiest part of her body. I mean, it's the truth. So what do I care? It's your body.
I don't know how you turned the definition of a stunt dick and you genuinely being interested in it into a Seinfeld episode comparison.
I just want to know how much it pays. I just want to know what I'm getting myself into here, because like if it pays good money.
No, oh my goodness. So like if there are rails
Yeah, no,
for
that's
this,
what you
for
do.
this
That's what Stunt Dick is
podcast.
there for rails. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, we're off the rails. You're gonna say we've fallen. You were making like a train. I was saying like, you know, you're railing, you know, like no, you're talking about like a train rail, and we've derailed.
Yikes. This is what happens when I'm gone for a week, that like we bring it all around to porn.
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
this was actually part of what you wrote down.
Yeah. Here, I'll show you. And actually, what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about a topical thing about the whole gay marriage thing that just came out as we're taping this Monday morning. So it's funny for people who are watching on YouTube. You can see it says right there. It says Stunt Dick, and then Vatican. This is the only podcast in the world, folks, that is going to have on the rundown of things that you want to talk about, Stunt Dick, Vatican.
I think I'm too medicated to even process the fact that you wanna seriously figure out how much it pays to be a stunt dick.
I'm just interested in the knowledge of it, and then you make a, you know, whatever, man, whatever. Do you have anything else? Don't judge me. Just trying to make a living here.
I by the way, I rarely judge you. I'm 100% judging you on this.
You rarely judge me.
I think we have conversations.
Concept of this show is you judging me.
I think we have conversations. I guide you. I don't judge you.
Oh God. Oh my God.
All right. Well, if I am judging you, you're an idiot.
By the way, before we go, how about this? See the people who follow us on YouTube. Again, a little visual aid here. You see the Rutgers logo I'm pointing to.
Yeah,
I cried yesterday. Not gonna lie. I literally, the kids were sitting here
because they made it into the tournament.
1991 was the last time that Rutgers made the NCAA tournament. I was
Was it
in middle
really?
school. I was in middle school. And guess what?
Oh. Sucks
Something that I
in
made
the first round, but
no, they're gonna win that game. Clemson, they're gonna beat Clemson.
they're not
Something
gonna
that
beat
I
Clemson.
made is going to be all over the NCAA tournament. For someone who cares about March Madness, for somebody who has done a bracket every year since he's been like 5 or whatever, who has his kids doing brackets since they were born, raising money for charity every year with these bracket challenges, to have a team that you have that, like, come on. I know
think that part is
Maryland won
very
the national
cool.
championship was a big deal for you. This is a really big deal.
I'm not taking it away. I think that's very, very cool. I'm super proud of you. And I think
Well, I didn't get
the
there.
logo and all that is great. They will get beat by Clemson. Sorry.
All right. Well, that's why they play.
By the way, Maryland's going to get bounced by UConn in the first round also. So
well, Maryland's getting bounced by UConn, but I think Rutgers wins that game. I do.
They're not that good, unfortunately.
Do you have anything else to say?
This was an interesting episode. Just to kind of like wrap it all up. And get us away from that last part, not the Rutgers part, the part before that. Hopefully people who are watching or listening will genuinely think about what I'm talking about, because I know you have to go through certain circumstances in order to recognize what you do with your time and who is there for you and what direction you're taking your life in. I implore that you really take a hard look at who you give your time to and who you're spending your time with. I think that's our life is short. Our life is full of ups and downs. We try and ride the ups for as long as we can, and we try and survive the downs the best we can. I think who you surround yourself with, knowingly or unknowingly, is critical to the journey. And I would just, again, really hope I'm doing this. I'm taking inventory of my circle, my friends, family, etc., that are people who care about me and truly want the best for me. I think everyone should do that. I would, if you've gained anything out of listening to this episode besides the fact that Dan's interested in being a stunt dick, so if you have any openings or know of how much they're paid, please reach out to Dan on that, not me, because that won't get to Dan. But if
Before you
you've
do
seen
the tag, can I just
anything,
say one thing real quick? Can I say just to your point right there? I just want to chime in, and I forgot I wrote this down, but I forgot to say this.
yes,
I think real quick, I think the point you're making, Scott, and the thing that my perspective changed when I saw how you have been dealing with the way that, you know, these dating apps and things like that, when you were healing and how you basically had to put your life on hold for a month or whatever, and how you've been dealing with that. It made me realize, to the point where I got upset, where people don't, you know, maybe care that I'm in their life or whatever. I'm very willing and eager to go through the courtship process to find someone, make sure that they know that I like them, that they know my intentions are to hang out with them. But once those intentions are known, I'm done. I'm not gonna. I'm
right.
done running after people for 3 months because they're attractive or because I think that they're a good match. If they don't, there's enough people out there, Scott. Why am I focusing on the people who don't want to hang out with me? I'm cutting people off. I'm cutting
That's
people
what I'm
off from now
saying.
on. And I sent 2
Okay.
emails last night, or 2 texts last night, and I'm like, you know what? You haven't shown enough interest in me. Why do I have to be the only one who shows interest?
You
Show
don't.
interest
That's
in
my
me.
point. Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
You
that's
just
it.
reiterated my point. So anyone, it's from a different perspective, but that's what I'm saying is that, like, stop falling into the gamification of the apps, stop falling into the gamification of life, stop placating people who are not giving you as much as you're giving them. It needs to be a two-way street. I'm not saying every day needs to be a two-way street. Like, sometimes people are injured and can't give as much, but like over a course of time, it needs to be somewhat equal in life. And I think that, you know, you do that because you, um you know, again, shit happens. Life is short. Good things happen, bad things happen. As I was saying, I have great news that happens to me, and I'm thrilled about, and you know how I feel about the kids. So I'm just saying, just focus on the people in your life that matter. I will leave it, as you know, that I always like to, you know, circle it around to the kids.
Yep.
So, and I'm sorry I didn't say this at the beginning, but you know, sometimes things end on a great note. Sometimes things start on a good note, but we'll end this on a good note. Um, Jack is going to be a Gator.
Yeah, it's amazing. Congratulations.
So I really, you know, as a dad, um, I I am so over the moon and so unbelievably proud of him, and just thrilled for his future. I feel like it's a little validating for me that, you know, I go through days where I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, and I hope nobody figures it out. And it's a real validation that not only is he able to go to college, which is amazing in and of itself, um, and I'm going to be able to pay for college, but that he's going to a really amazing school, academically, and just is like the perfect school for him. And it's the one that he really wanted to go to. And he decided yesterday that he's committing himself to University of Florida. Uh, and I'm just absolutely thrilled. So in all of this, um, again, we take the good with the bad, but sharing that news, even sharing that news, I see the people who matter, who reach out to me and genuinely care.
Sure.
And those that don't, like, good luck. But I will say, because of Jack and you know, and Luke, who's working his ass off in school while his brother's down there in Florida, looking at Florida to make sure that this was his decision, and Jack was around the campus, and Luke was stuck in the hotel working on schoolwork and everything. So I feel bad for him, but he's doing a great job too, and he'll be next. But you know, as I always say, you know, focus on people that matter to you, but the people that matter most for me in my life are kids. Kids first.